Welcome to Bold Badass Business, where we bring you incredible badasses from all over the globe who will help you boost your business, who are going to give you business secrets. They're going to share some of their great successes and also their failures so that you can learn and you can have the best business and be the best person, the best badass you can possibly be. And you all, I am thrilled today. I'm Dr. Barnsley Brown, your host, your badass business coach. And I am thrilled today to have in the house an Ultimate Fighting Championship Hall of Famer. And that is Clifford Starks, who coaches top entrepreneurs and coaches to find their greatness within. And Clifford, I'm just thrilled you're here. Did you
Yeah,
wear any
thank you.
gloves? Can we see your gloves? Did you use gloves when
I
you were
didn't
a
bring my
UFC?
gloves today, so it's just hands. I got
Well,
my brass
listen.
knuckle, if you can see it. Yeah, my ring.
Oh my God, that's a good brass knuckle right there. No, I'm really glad you're here with us. And I think the topic is so important, vanquishing your inner bully so you can win the fight of your life because so much of how we succeed is about how we see ourselves and how we speak to ourselves, right?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. And I love that your brass knuckles, your wedding ring. We've got Pansy on here. Hey, Pansy. Pansy is my most devoted listener, and she has said he's throwing hands. LOL.
Hey, Pansy.
I love-
Nice to meet you.
so Clifford, thinking about the inner bully, I just have to ask you this, all right? Because I was bullied as a kid.
Mhm.
Were you bullied as a kid? Was that part of the reason you became a fighter?
So it wasn't part of the reason I became a fighter, but I was bullied as a kid.
Mm,
I've had emotional bullying. I've had physical bullying. I've
mm.
had a little bit of everything, and I became a fighter because it was just so damn hard. And I like going after hard things because it's such a character builder. And I learned early on that it was a character builder.
Yeah, you can't go into that fight half-assed, right? Yeah, if you go into the fight with half an ass, you're gonna leave with half a body,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like it's not the place that you really want to go there. Because I just figured I'd make a hobby out of it.
Well, I love that. I mean, I wanted to ask that question, and I too was physically bullied in my
Mhm,
family, and I was emotionally bullied, and I was like a nerd. That may
mhm,
surprise you, but I really was. I was a gifted little kid and very smart, but I was very different,
mhm.
and so I was bullied, and it made me quite the fighter in a different way. I'm like a spiritual warrior.
Nice.
Um, but I have actually busted a board. Can I show you, Clifford? Let me show you. I'm
Yeah,
proud
let's
to
do it.
say. Hey, listen, one of my cool, and this is not a small board. This is a thick board. And I broke this thing with my bare hands.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it says on one side, it says being unworthy. That's what I was breaking through, being unworthy.
I
And then
love
on
it.
the other side, breaking through to freedom, prosperity, love, power, and worthiness.
Sweet.
Woohoo! So,
Amen.
yeah. So what was the first board breaking experience you had? And by that I don't mean absolutely breaking boards, but where you said, I'm meant to be a fighter.
Mine was understanding the process. And what I
Mm,
mean by process is knowing that it's important to do things consistently to get to the result that you're looking to get to. It of all places, it happened to me in fourth grade. My
mm.
mom had me reading this book in Spanish. I didn't know how to read Spanish, and we stayed up all night until I was able to enunciate the words properly. And the next day, I got into class, and I literally like I was speaking it better than the teachers, better than the
Wow.
teacher, better than the students, and it was just a big reminder to me, like I'm always going to be good. I just if I practice something long enough, I can
Mhm.
get good at anything that I practice at.
I love that. I want everybody to hear that. What an attitude. If I practice anything long enough, and I love that you say practice long enough because it doesn't happen overnight.
Mhm.
Business success doesn't happen overnight. There are no overnight success stories. You know, Picasso didn't become an award winning painter overnight. He spent 20 years scraping around trying to make a living before he became famous. You know, so many artists have died even before they became famous. By the way, we have an artist on the line. Hello, Nathan, coming in from
Nice.
Mexico. Glad you're here. Nathan is a wonderful visual artist and he creates coloring books and journals just for influencers and coaches, Clifford, like
Very
us.
cool. I love it. I
I
love it.
know, right?
Hey, Nathan.
Good to have you here, Nathan. Hola, ¿cómo estás? And Pansy is saying practice, practice, practice. Yes, yes, multiple practice. And this is where I see, Clifford, a lot of people come in or they come into my programs and they're not ready to do all the work, you
Mhm.
know? And you got to be willing to do the work. That's the one thing that your sport coach or your business coach cannot do for you, right?
Yep. Yep. And I started seeing like because I like finding solutions to things, and I sometimes think about it, and I'm not a woman, but I have seen birth be given,
Mhm.
and I have so much respect because that is not an easy process, right? Like I know like it's not an easy process. It takes intentionality. That baby is growing within the uterus for 9 to 10 months. It's a beautiful process. It's an absolutely beautiful process, and then you see your child. Um, but it's a mindset, right? Like in your
Yeah.
mind, you just know that's going to happen. You go through the process because you know that's the process. And
Mm-hmm.
in business, it's like you can convince yourself to walk away or look somewhere else or oh get there when it gets there, and it's like it's not a passive action, it's an intentional action that turns that thing into what it it turns into, that vision, turning that vision into a reality.
Mm-hmm. And it's got to be daily intention actually implemented. And this is something I definitely teach that we create daily revenue generating activities in my Make It Happen mastermind, and we hold our feet to the fire to do them, which is
Hmm.
why people get to 100K and more in my program.
Nice.
And we do it with a lot of celebration and fun, Clifford. You know, we
Yeah.
do it with fun and celebration because what's the point if we're not having fun? You know, really.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know you're amazing at what you do, just off of one, your attitude. You have an amazing attitude. You've helped a lot of people on their journey. And the biggest thing is like, could you imagine every time you hit a checkpoint and it just sucked more and more? Like, boo, and they're giving you thumbs down. You're like, I don't like this game at all. Like, sign me up for something else. So
Yeah.
there's a process to the process. Like what I started seeing, because I'm like, oh, this is a numbers game and it's not a numbers game at the same time. And what I mean by that is when you do the numbers with intentionality, you actually get better at the numbers. So you get
Mm.
better and better and better. And so with you supporting business owners and me supporting business owners, and what I've learned, like I had to learn this myself. I go, holy crap. It's not even about the business that they're in, it's about them. Like it's
Mm.
about them. Like if I get them right, their business will naturally get right on its own. I got to get them right, and then we can get the pieces of the business right. And that was a big aha where I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, that the way I put that is it's 80 to 90% of success in life and business is our mindset
Yeah.
and relaunching or changing the default mindset to make it the mindset we want, and then the other 10 to 20% is strategy, and they both have to be there because if you've got the mindset but you don't have the correct strategy for the point where you are in your business, it's also going to fall flat. And
Yeah.
if you have strategy, but you don't have a positive mindset and the belief that it's possible, then you're not going to implement the strategy. So, they really have to be married together as I see it. It would be, I guess, well, tell me this, this would be interesting as we're talking
Yeah.
about the the inner bully. You know, when
Hmm.
you would get ready for one of your Ultimate Fighting Championship games or matches, I guess they're called matches, right? When
Yeah.
you would get ready, when you would get ready, what was the procedure that you used to get ready for a fight? And how can
So
that apply to business?
yeah, so everything starts with having the North Star in place. Like, where are you going? And when you know where you're going, you can go there. It sounds so simple, but it really is. Like when you start simplifying things and don't overcomplicate them, then you take the step. Take the step
Mm,
of intentionality. So I go, when your mind, your heart, and your skill sets are aligned, you end up winning this game called life. And so in the realm of a fight, the mind is knowing how to connect the dots, knowing how to slip a punch, how to counter punch, how to block a punch, how to do all of those things. So that's getting your mind right. And then getting your heart right, which I learned the hard way
mm.
actually. If your heart's not in it, you can have the mind and the skill, but if your heart's not in it, you're going to be missing that step that creates the pop, creates the emotion, creates the intention, creates the conviction.
Like the
Um
fuel.
yeah, yeah. It's just like you're in there and you have all every it was kind of frustrating actually because it was my last fight and my heart just wasn't in it.
Mm,
And I wasn't the same fighter and I was in there. I was able to fight. I was able to do all the things, but I wasn't Cliff. I wasn't that guy that
mm.
I knew that I could be. And so it's really getting aligned with that heart. And then the skill is you're constantly polishing your skills, constantly improving those skills, constantly leveraging those skills. So I had the skill of discipline when I went from fighting to business, but I didn't know what I was supposed to prioritize. So
Mm.
some like being disciplined, but disciplined in the wrong priority is
Yeah,
like a negative discipline. So you're like
exactly.
learning what to do versus what not to do.
Yes, right. You know, if you use your discipline on the time sucks that don't
Mhm.
create revenue or don't create clients, don't create success for your clients too, then basically it's, you're flushing the toilet on all that great energy,
Yep,
you
yep,
know?
yep.
Well, I
Very
love what
sad.
you said about heart, like let's just flush it down.
Yeah, yeah.
Flush down that. And so many people do that actually. It's unbelievable to me the number of people I hear who are like, oh, I have to have a website, I have to do this, I have to have a Facebook. No, you don't. Stop, stop, stop.
Yeah,
You have to have a message that lands for the people you want to work with. And when that message lands, those people are going to come to you. They're going to find you. Well, of course, you have to be visible too. You got to
yeah,
get in the ring, so to speak.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can't stand outside there and pretend that you're in the ring.
And I'll tell you, even as you say that, Dr. Barnsley, when we hear things at different times of our life, we hear them differently.
Yes.
If I would have heard that in the beginning of my journey, I'd be like, okay, that's great. Now, which CRM do I use?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, I need to pay $10,000 for,
Yeah,
Salesforce.
yeah.
No. No. Okay, look at my eyes. Okay. Those of you who are listening to audio, you're not seeing Dr. Barnsley go crazy. But the point being, people will come up with the most elaborate sucks of their time and energy and money. And yeah. Anyway, and some coaches are time, energy, and money sucks too. Let's be
It-
clear, Clifford. I tell
I,
you,
I
I've
I
been
would give it
ranting
like
about some
80.
of our
Yeah, like
colleagues,
80% of them are not like, and I say
maybe
this with
more,
love, like 80%. I think 20% are the ones who are the go getters. They hit it out the park. But I
maybe
also say
10.
like our minds, because I knew our minds were chaotic. Like I knew that, and we got to train them. We got to get them
Yes.
fit. But as I went, like when I went from fighter to entrepreneur, I'm going through the process, and I'm like, this isn't the same game, is it? And as
Uh-uh.
I did it long enough, I'm like, it's like the same game. Like you got to get the concepts right, the emotions right, the filters right, like this mind right, and your mind is gonna tell you all sorts of things. I remember as a fighter, Like my mind would literally say, let's just get knocked out so that we can end this as quickly as possible and be done with it. And I had to sit my mind in the corner, like,
Mhm,
mind, calm down. We got things that we
mhm.
got to do, and we're going to focus and we're going to stay on top of it. And I go, oh, the mind just, it really wants to survive. It doesn't want humiliation. It doesn't
It
want to
wants
feel
to stay
stupid.
in comfort
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just wants what it knows.
That's powerful. The mind wants what it knows, not what you have envisioned. And so we've got to really get that mind to calm down, the monkey mind, as they call it, right, in
Mm-hmm.
Buddhism. And that monkey mind is taking us, into all sorts of places. And some of those places are things like, you'll never succeed. You're crazy. Why do
Yep.
you think you can make money from coloring books? That was for
Yep.
you, Nathan. The mind will just go all
Yep.
sorts of crazy places,
Yep.
or you're too old, you're too tall, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too this, you're too that. Well, I heard you say that in your last fight, and this is interesting, Clifford, that your heart wasn't in it. What
Yep.
had changed for you? Why was your heart not in there the way it had been before? Did you just know that you weren't meant to continue fighting? What was going on? I'm sure
Prior,
everybody listening wants to know that.
yeah, it was a priority shift. And I my body knew it before I knew it. So I had my first kid,
Mm,
and I know what felt nervous feels like, but it felt like terror. It was weird. And I'm like, why am I terrified to get in the cage? Like, what is going on? Something's off. And I'm going to the cage, and I have this feeling of terror getting into
mm.
the cage, and the cage door closes. Probably the worst time to know that you don't belong in there. And I'm like, oh crap, I'm thinking about my kid right now.
Yeah. So the terror was, what if something happens to me and I'm not there for them?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. What if I get knocked out? What if I, whatever. And what if I'm paralyzed, or some have dementia or something as a
Yep.
result of a concussion? What Yes, absolutely. And so you just realized that what had been number one for you was no longer number one. And I think this is powerful because in business that can happen too. I
Mm-hmm.
know I've had points, and I've been in business 24 years, and I've had points where I was like, that's not really where my energy is right now. I'm
Yep.
really not that excited about this seminar over here that I've been giving. I'm just not excited about it anymore. And I think it's so important that we ask ourselves, where is the zing? Yes, the
Mm-hmm.
zing, ZING. Where's the zing in my life? Where's the zing in my business? Where's the zing? What puts the zing in my step?
Yes.
What makes me want to get into the ring? What zing puts me in the ring? Now we're being
Yep.
poetic.
I like it. I like it. Yeah,
So,
and
what's
and
the
that's
zing for you, Clifford, in your business? What do you love about what you're doing now, coaching people?
it's always shifting itself. Like my mission is to influence leaders to be loving, conscious, and abundant. So those
Mm,
are the three things that I really focus on. And then my vision is 1 billion. So I want to support 1 billion leaders in being loving, conscious, and abundant. Now, the truth is, in my head, everyone's a leader, because a
mm,
leader is someone who just goes first, just the willingness to go first.
mm,
And then from there, I started really going. First, I wanted people to be loving. I always wanted that. I wanted that even as a fighter. And I had one person, like, it was a coach. He goes, how can you punch people in the face and be loving? I go, it's not like one person signing a contract. Like, we both signed it. We are in agreement. Um, but the crazy thing, going through that process, the vehicle changed because I'm
mhm,
43 now. I have two kids now. I was married when I was younger. I
mhm.
started fighting, I was 28, and I only had my wife. I didn't have any kids. And so my vehicle was getting on that stage, getting
Yeah.
in the fight cage. And I think we get better and better at it. In fact, I started laughing. I don't remember. I was either 38 or 39. I don't remember which age this was, but I remember when I'm like, oh my goodness, I get the game. And I'm laughing hysterically. And my wife looks over at me like, what are you laughing about? I go, the game gets harder. We just get better at playing it.
Mm. The game gets harder. We just get better at playing it. Or the
Yeah.
game does get harder, or the
Yeah.
game doesn't get harder. It does.
The game gets harder, and it's actually the same hardness. Like, it hasn't changed. You're just more aware of
Mhm.
everything. And so as a leader, what I see is everything we do matters. Like, everything we do matters, and everything we don't do matters as well. And
Yes.
so we got to be really, really intentional with what we're doing and also what we're not doing.
This is really important. And I think what you've just said is one of the biggest keys to success, being really intentional about what we're doing and what we're not doing. And there are different ways we can approach that. I have a little formula that I use with my clients, the HBDO formula. And it's a way for people to get stuff off their plate that they shouldn't be doing, right?
Nice.
That is a waste of their time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is so important because we need to be doing the highest value activity we can do, which is the one that no one else can do.
Mm-hmm.
The one no one else can do. It's not like I could get into that cage and do that fight for you.
Mm-hmm.
I could,
Yeah.
but it would not be pretty. And I probably would not be sitting here in front of you either. I wouldn't have made it to age 50 and beyond. So I love that idea of what we do and what we don't do is just as important. In fact, I have my clients write a not to do list, Clifford.
Nice.
A not to do list. That's one of the, I have a lot of different explorations that I use for different topics and themes we're addressing in the context of their business. But
I
one of
love
them
that.
is the not to do list. And, some of the stuff that comes up there is stuff like worry, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
judging myself,
Mm-hmm.
you know, criticizing myself. These are ones
Mm-hmm.
that can come up as well as activities that you're doing that are really a waste of your time, like database entry, things that you could have a VA do, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you say, Clifford? You know, I see a lot of people being held back who don't even get in the cage, don't get in the ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they stand by the sides and they hope that someday they'll make this dream business happen. And to me, that is just so sad.
Yeah.
And what would you say are the reasons why people don't get into the ring? And certainly one is the inner bully. What would be some reasons that you've seen in your fighting career and also in your coaching that people don't get in the ring, or maybe they get in the ring and then they jump back over?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They shake the
So
cage open. Let
what
me
what
out.
what I noticed going through my journey, my mom was a hospice nurse, and I got to see people going to the other side.
Mm,
And as I saw that, I realized, like, oh, no one's at fault here. No one's at fault. This is why. It's a game of awareness.
mm.
If you feel you have enough time, and remember, the brain's sneaky. It's very, very sneaky. So it's like, oh, we got tomorrow. We got tomorrow. Don't worry, we got tomorrow. And then you run out of tomorrows. Like, you're like, oh crap, I don't have any more tomorrows. And so even off of what you do with a don't do list, I go, oh my goodness, this is feedback loops. These are feedback loops.
Yep.
I go, fighters learn so quick if they're, well, not all of them, but some of them learn really quick. And it's because the feedback loops, it's in your
Mhm.
face. It's right in front of you. You can't hide from it. You can't deny it. And when you write a list down, when you write your stuff down, that's why it's so critical to write your stuff down. It allows the brain to actually look at it and go, oh crap.
Yep. Amen. Write it down. Write it down. Write down on one side, here's what I'm doing that's a waste of my time.
Mhm.
And on the other side, here's how I can get it taken care of, or just stop doing it, period, for
Yeah.
example. Or, here's where the zing is on the left for for you, create a list. Here's where the zing is in my business. And then on the right, write the stuff that is not the zing for you. And then figure out, get a great coach and figure out how the heck to not do those things so
Yeah.
that you're spending your time in your zone of genius.
Yeah.
I've been finishing up The Big Leap. Gay Hendricks, love this book. And he talks about we want to be in the zone of genius, not the
Nice.
zone of excellence, not the zone of competence, and not the zone of incompetence. Zone of incompetence is the bottom. That's me in the ring for fighting. So I
had
could
plenty
probably
of those zones.
I did learn that the most important place to punch somebody is, if I'm being assaulted, I'm going to get them in the throat, or I'm going to get them in the groin, or I'm going to kick them in the knee. I know that. I learned it. I learned it in a warrior seminar, actually, Clifford. That was wonderful.
Really?
A Billionaire Mind warrior seminar. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We did some wild stuff in there.
I
also bent like
didn't-
a steel rod that they use to make buildings with my neck against another man's neck. And we pushed in and bent this thing. It's like
so
this.
I want to share how powerful that is too, because ultimately all anyone's doing is going for the result. And so the first thing they just got to ask themselves is, okay, wait a minute, what result do I want to get? Like Dr. Barnsley, you're not looking to be, well, I want to be a professional athlete who, like, you don't want to do that. You want to be able, I don't know what you want to be able to do, but I'm assuming be able to protect yourself. So you only need a couple moves. You don't need to know the whole gamut of moves to protect
I don't have to
yourself.
be a jujitsu master.
Yeah. You're just like 2 moves. That's it. Just get strong enough and competent enough in 2 moves. Because just in that competence, it's very interesting. And we're talking about the bully. So the bully outside of you and the bully inside of you, just enough belief to take an action. Like that's all a person needs, like just enough belief to take an action.
Enough pain.
Yeah.
To get to that point. As my mother would put it, you'll love this, Clifford. Okay, she's great, Steel Magnolia. She'd say, well, when the shit gets up to your ears, then you'll take action.
You will take you will definitely take action then.
Take action. And she's right? When it gets up to here, when the poop is up to your ears, it's getting hard to breathe and probably will make action. But I love that idea that our bullies are there to serve us. That's in what you're saying. Our bullies are there to serve us. So imagine, you all, imagine if you consider that bully in your life, whether the bully is the idea that I don't have enough money, or the bully is an actual person who's a naysayer rather than a yay-sayer in your life, who's saying, oh, Clifford, why did you start a business? Oh my God, you're going to bankrupt us, whatever. Whether the bully is an external force or an internal force, the bully is there to serve us.
Yep. We got to
That's
break
what I'm
that
hearing.
board. Yeah, we got to break that board. Like there's we all got them.
Yeah.
And they're all over the place.
Okay, everybody, I'm going to pause. I want everybody to put your bully in the chat. All right, this is vulnerability time. Let's get real. As you said, Clifford, let's write it down. Okay, so I'm going to put my bully in right now. So my bully right now is a large issue with my daughter, okay? And I can't get into particulars, but it is a very large issue with my teenage daughter. That's my bully, okay? What's your bully, y'all? Put it in there. Get real clear. You don't have to tell us all the particulars, but I want everyone listening to come away with a real clear sense of that bully that is there to serve you. And I am so clear that with this situation, I get to pull out of myself greater qualities, greater spiritual qualities. I get to pull out courage. I get to pull out strength. I get to pull out love. Yeah. So what is it that your bully is? All right, did y'all put them in there? I'm not seeing them yet. There's usually a little lag time. Pansy, Nathan, everybody else listening in, y'all put your bully out there. Be real. Just for yourself. You can even give it an abbreviation if you need to. What's your bully right now, Clifford?
So I actually burned this one, but I feel it's one to share with everyone. I've been really good at attempting to eat elephants by myself. Like I'm like, I'm gonna eat the whole thing. I'm gonna do it, and we're gonna make this happen. And then I end up gagging somewhere. Um, Asking for help is was not easy for me. Like it really wasn't easy for me, and I noticed myself catching myself to make sure that I do it because these habits, like we'll do them, and we don't even know we're doing them sometimes.
Yeah. We're so used to being a lone wolf
Yeah,
that we don't realize there's a whole pack that would be willing to actually help us.
yeah, yeah.
And
And
even
that pack
feed
is even as badass as we are. Like
us.
that's the other thing. Like,
They're
or even
probably
more
more.
badass in certain things.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They're absolutely like we cannot be badasses in everything. This is so obvious.
Yeah.
I have no problem saying I am not a badass in technology. Now I understand what it can do and I
Hmm.
understand how to use it for marketing, but I'm not a badass in the implementation of technology, nor do I care to be that. That's for somebody else. And
Dr.
Nathan
Bardsley,
put,
one
oh, sorry.
year of putting my website together. 1 year. And it was so bad. There were times where I didn't even know how to Google what I needed. Like I had to figure out, like, okay, how do I Google this in a way where I get the answer?
All right, Clifford, no judgment. Everybody has their shitty website story. I've got a shitty website story where I had somebody I was serving on a nonprofit board with, and he's like, "Oh, I can help you, IT
Oh,
guy." No knowledge of graphic design whatsoever. He was totally Mr. Computer Geek. He was great at programming, but it was the ugliest website. And
mm,
thankfully, I changed that later. But we all have those stories. Now, I hope y'all listening hear what Clifford is saying. It's just an elaborate form of procrastination, you all, when we decide, oh, I've got to do XYZ before I can start sharing, i.e., selling what I do. And
yeah.
my whole thing in my program is I get you out there and monetizing fast because
Hmm.
that's how you create a sustainable business that
Hmm.
you're proud of and that impacts a billion people. I love your vision of a billion people,
Thank you.
Clifford.
Thank you.
I love it. And that only happens by getting out there and hitting the pavement.
Hmm.
We don't have to do all the things
Absolutely.
we think we have to do to get going. In fact, most small businesses start with talking one on one. I want y'all to listen one on one with the people you already know who like you, who trust you, who respect you. And they can
Yep.
be anywhere you go. It can be your prayer group, it can be your gym. I mean, I've had clients from everywhere I go, even the grocery store. I had somebody from a Kinko's coffee shop.
Mm.
But everywhere you go, realizing that there's an opportunity because there's someone who needs you. And my
Mhm.
prayer every day, Clifford, I feel like I should share this is, God put me in front of the person who needs me.
Nice. I love that.
You know, put me in front of who I can serve.
Yeah, it's
And
powerful.
I'm also doing everything, I'm getting teary, everything I can to be visible too. But there is that piece of use me, put me there,
Hmm.
source put me there. And it's incredible how magical things happen, synchronicities happen. Suddenly, that mentor is there, that coach is there. I even went one time, Clifford, I drove into my church where I was working. It was one of my three jobs during graduate school to pay for my education. I was
Hmm.
administrating the church. And I went in and there was a car in the parking lot. And I was like, oh, this person is here for me. And I didn't even
Hmm.
know who they were. I just knew. And she ended up being a mentor for me. How
Oh,
amazing.
nice. Yeah, that's cool.
It is cool. So Nathan says the bully, he says the ego, which he has been surrendering every day. Yes, the ego will try to keep us in comfort zone, right? The ego will say, you don't need to risk. The ego will say,
Hmm.
oh, let's just stay here. You're fine.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
fine. Ugh.
yeah,
And meanwhile, your dreamer self, your inner genius is saying, I'm not getting any zing here.
yeah.
Here I am.
It it was interesting for me because I really found who my audience was.
Hmm.
Because there's the I'm fine And then there's the I'm not good enough. Like I'm gonna keep pushing. I'm
Mm.
gonna keep pushing. I'm 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 gonna keep pushing. I'm
And
gonna
are
keep
those
pushing.
the people?
Ah, break.
I'm gonna push until I get knocked out. So, is that your group?
Yeah, those are my people through and through. And I started noticing it as I was going through my process. They say because people tell you got to niche down, and
Yeah.
what that means to me is some people they'll get into this loop and they'll say which came first, the chicken or the egg. And what I say is, if you're an egg, be an egg. If you're a chicken, be a chicken. And so that's make a decision. Just make a
Hmm.
decision. It doesn't matter. Like we'll figure it out. And what I noticed is when I spoke my truth, my audience would find me.
Hmm.
And so I didn't even have like I do agree, know what your niche is because if you can define them, you can find them. So that is
Yes.
important. I'm not discarding that. But when you're going out and you're taking action, you'll find something from the actions that you're taking, even if that action is I shouldn't be taking this action.
Hmm. Like I really don't enjoy working with this group,
Yeah,
for instance. And
yeah,
I think we've those of us who are speakers, we've all had that story where it was like, oh God, I
hmm,
just bombed big time.
yep,
And it just wasn't our audience. And actually, you all, there are different ways we can niche or niche, depending on where you're from. You may say niche or niche. Either one is fine. You just choose.
hmm,
But we can niche or niche according to our industry. Like I love working with small business owners and I love working with teachers. Guess what? I used to be a teacher, a college professor years ago. And I love working with mompreneurs. Why? I'm a mom.
yeah,
Makes sense.
yep,
So we can niche that way, or we can niche in terms of the topic that we deal with, the topic or the theme, the result that we allow people to have. So we have different ways we can niche or niche. You know, we can niche in terms of the interior dialogue or interior monologue of people, and I think that's the most powerful place to be aware. Like, what is that person who we love working with saying to themselves?
yep,
What's keeping them up? Some people say, what's keeping them up at night? Yeah. Like, what are they saying? And in my case, it's often people are like, damn, that other program didn't work. I invested all this money. It didn't work. Oh my gosh, I feel bad. They're feeling
mhm,
bad. I drained my family. I drained my own finances. And how do I know this is going to work? How do I know that I'll work with Dr. Barnsley and I'll actually have the results? And I just don't really trust myself, but it comes out as I don't trust somebody else, but it really is
mhm,
about trusting themselves, right?
yep,
So what are your people saying to themselves, Clifford, other
they're
than I got to keep pushing, I got to keep
yeah,
pushing?
yeah, yeah. They are they're lonely.
Mm,
They feel like they can only say certain things in certain rooms.
mm,
They're very aware, very intentional with what they do. And sometimes people don't play at that level. Like they're high performers. They're really high performers. So if you take like a UFC fighter and you put them in a cage with a lower level performer, neither is wrong, neither is
mm,
bad, but they're not actually giving value to each other.
mm.
And so it's like I go into what I started noticing. I go, am I climbing Mount Everest again? Just a different Mount Everest. Because you
Yeah.
get to a point, you start climbing something, and then people fall off because the elevation gets so high.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an excitable person, and I like seeing how high I can climb. I think I can make it to the top. Like you're gonna die. Holy crap, he pulled it off.
But that's the adrenaline rush, right?
Yeah. So as I because I was also my coach didn't even think I could do what we did. And I say we did
Mm,
because I couldn't do it without him. I couldn't do it without
exactly.
him. I said, I want to fight in the UFC in less than a year. He's like, there is no effing way.
Mm,
You're gonna go against the best of the best and the best. And this is what I want to tell everybody how amazing they are. This is why.
yes.
because in 5 weeks, he changed his tune. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's to show when you're intentional, it doesn't take as long as you think it's going to take. You just have to be really intentional in that moment and say, I'm going to do these things.
And
Dr.
you had a
Barnsley,
badass coach.
yeah. Dr. Barnsley
You
and
had
myself, there's going to be times where your brain's going to be like, I need the good website. I need the CRM. They don't know what. Stop. Just stop. That's your mind
stop.
trash.
Stop.
That's your
It's
mind
Halloween. I'm
trash.
holding up the cross, you
Yeah.
know.
And
No.
I thank my mom because when I read that book, I wouldn't have been the person that I was if I didn't do that process the way that I did. And so I knew, show me the 2 moves that I have to do. Show me the 2 moves that I have to do, and I'm going to do them 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. Show me the 2 moves that I have to do, and I'm going to do it 1,000 times. And then I'm going to do it 1,000 more. And then I'm going to do it 1,000 more. Here's how I keep my brain entertained by that, though. I'm looking at who I'm going to be as if I'm already that. I'm already
Beautiful.
there.
I'm looking at who I'm going to be as if I'm already there. Now that's mic drop right there. I've got to put this in here. I'm looking at who I'm going to be as if I'm already there. And you're taking action from that place.
Yep.
You're taking action from that place. It's not action of, well, maybe in 10 years I'll be ready to get into that cage with the best of the best. No, it's
Yep.
I'm going to be ready in 1 year. That's who I'm going to be. And that's who you
I,
are. And you became a Hall of Famer. My
I
goodness.
didn't even realize, because I'm constantly learning too on this journey. Everyone's teaching me something. And I didn't realize, like, my drive to influence 1 billion people, I didn't know how much they were going to influence me. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know. I went into it like I can help people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, oh my goodness, the people I'm helping are actually helping me too.
Exactly. It is this wonderful circulation of energy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I even want to use the word healing. It's very
Mhm.
healing because we can see, like, when we're able to help someone, we just need to be a little further along than where they are. And when
Mhm.
we're able to help them, it reinforces back to us, oh, wow, look at all the progress you've made. While we're also having that great gift of seeing somebody else make progress.
Yeah.
I love it. There could be
100%.
nothing better, right? It's just, to use our little game metaphor, it's win-win all the way around.
Mhm.
You know,
Yep.
love it. Well, Clifford, you and I could talk forever. We
Yeah, you're
really
a
could.
joy. Thank you.
Well, so are you. And I love what you've shared. I've put a lot of things up actually in the comments, things that you've said, like the brain is sneaky. Don't worry. The brain will say, don't worry, you got tomorrow. And eventually those tomorrows run out. The time is now. So,
Mhm.
what would you say before we give the giveaway, which everyone, don't you leave because you get something awesome here on the Bold Badass Business Show. You get thousands and thousands of dollars of gifts. It's like a lottery every week. Studio audience, let's hear you shout. Woo! Okay, did that sound
Woo!
like a studio? I need to get a little sound machine where I can, like, press it and it'll go, yeah! You know, You'll laugh because I recently did an episode which was on the cruise that I was on, Clifford, and
Mhm.
sadly it didn't get saved. Pansy was there and some other people were there, and it didn't get saved. I got it, but we had these people at a table, and we were like, "Would y'all be our studio audience? So when I cue you, you're gonna go, yeah!" We had so much fun, and they also came over and asked for our autographs at different points. It was super fun. Anyway, it's
I
always
love
good
that.
to get
I love
people
that.
involved. But I would say, here's the question I have for you. What would you leave people with before we do the giveaway? What would you
So
say they
I,
most need to change so they can vanquish that inner bully and actually get in the ring?
I love it. So thank you for the question. Thank you for having me on, Dr. Barnsley. 100% appreciate it. And what I would say is what we were doing here, and that is take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously.
Mm,
Laugh, smile, have fun, and do what you got to do to make your dream a reality.
I love that. That's so fun. Yes, take what you do seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. Because when we do that, guess what? We become miserable and
Mhm.
afraid of taking risks, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we have to
100%.
be somehow perfect. I know I'm
Mhm.
definitely a recovering perfectionist, and it's great to be recovering instead of a perfectionist because there's no fun in that, no
I
fun
love it.
whatsoever.
Amen.
You know, and I think something I'm hearing from you too is, and let me know if this is true. I'm just reading between the lines, but I'm
Mhm.
hearing that when we look at our careers, just celebrate every fight. Just
Yeah.
celebrate every fight. Whether or not you unquote won, you
Mhm.
won because whatever you learned is a win.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, Michael Jordan talks about the failures he's had. I've had
Mhm.
failures. I've even had failures that were not very fun, and they felt exactly the way I thought they were going to feel. I was like, thought that was going to feel that way. Um, but it transformed me and it transformed others as well because it reminded them like sometimes people think you do nothing but win. When you win enough, you win
Yes.
enough times, they think like, oh, well, you get it so easily. Like, no, that didn't just happen. That happened from losses. You just
That
didn't
happened
see
from
it.
thousands and thousands and thousands of times of not hitting the
Yeah.
mark,
Yeah.
right? All those practice times that people don't see, where we fall flat on our face,
Hmm.
where we just suck. Something we do, just there's no other way to put it. It sucks
Yeah.
because we're new at it or whatever. Or we just don't come in with our heart, right? And we do a half-assed job sometimes.
Mhm.
You know, those kinds of situations we all have, but people don't see those banana peel moments. They see the finished product, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is with his hands up because he won.
Yeah.
Oh, there Dr. Barnsley is. She's so accomplished. Well, guess what? In the Bold Badass Business Show, we bring you the real, you all. And that means we want you to learn from our mistakes, right?
Amen.
And not to need to make them, you know, not to need to make them. Well, Clifford, this has been amazing. So let me give you the amazing drum roll, which I have my broken board here, so this is even better than my usual. There's the drum roll. Woo! So what are
Awesome.
you giving everybody?
So I have an archetype quiz for everybody, and it
Mm,
goes over, are you a warrior? Are you a fighter? Are you adaptive? Or are you a civilian? I'm really
mhm.
curious what you end up being because when you know yourself, you know which actions to take.
Wow. And I love that. So it's going to tell them, what are the four categories again?
So it's fighter, warrior, adaptive, and civilian.
Beautiful. So it lets us know really where we stand so
Hmm.
that we can choose what's appropriate
Yep.
or natural even to us.
Yep.
Do people ever change from one category to another?
I haven't really seen that. Um, I will say if you know what you are, you know what you're not. And
Hmm.
so you can bring things in what you're not around you so that the business can thrive the way that it thrives. Because the beauty of a business is it takes so many moving parts.
Hmm.
And so you just have to figure out, okay, what moving part goes where.
I love that. And when. What
Yeah.
moving part goes where and when and how. But the where and when are really important because if we put the wrong thing in at
Hmm.
the wrong time, we're not going to get results. We can put
Not
the
good.
right thing in at the wrong time and not get results. But if we put the right thing in at the right time, we get good results. So it really is about finding the timing and exactly what we need to be focusing on at our business at the stage of business where we are and
Hmm.
not jumping ahead, and investing a lot of money in something we don't need. So, Clifford, this has been amazing. And by the way, you all, here's where you go to get these thousands and thousands of dollars of gifts that I promised you, and to get the architect quiz from Clifford, which is going to tell you whether you're a fighter or the other categories, such as the civilian. And you will find this at bit.ly/free from Dr. B. So bit.ly/free from Dr. B. And you'll be able to go in there. I'm going to put it up here right now too. You'll be able to go on in and help yourself to any of the gifts that you see, especially pay attention to our bold, badass sponsors at the top, because I can tell you their gifts are phenomenal. So pay particular attention there. And you can also go throughout the vault and choose what appeals to you. You can also access past episodes there with one touch. Just click on hear the episode for those things that interest you. And I would like to ask all of you to kindly share my YouTube channel and subscribe. Right now, I think I'm at 300 subscribers. We've been working on the YouTube channel. Most of our
Yes.
action is over on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's where I am. But we're working on the YouTube channel. And let me tell you all, listeners, I am committed to getting to over 1,000 fast. I want to be at over 1,000 by the end of this year for sure. That gives me
Nice.
just 2 more months, get over 1,000, because then I'll be able to offer you so much more. I'll be able to serve you so much more. And that is my goal with this. That's why I give my time. That's why I funnel so much of my income into the show. And that's why the guests come on and give their time sharing with you, because we have a true desire for you to be a badass in business. So Clifford, I want to just thank you for being here, for giving us your time and your energy, your wonderful fighting spirit
Thank
and
you.
loving fighting spirit.
Thank you
I
for
love
having me on. I appreciate it.
It's been wonderful. And everyone listening, I just want you to know that even at those times that you feel like you're out of the ring and you feel like you're not strong enough, just remember you are a bold badass, or you would not have tuned in with us today. I'll see you next week at 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Friday, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Go subscribe now. It's youtube.com/Dr. Barnsley NC. I'll put it right up here. Oh gosh, I'm not good at typing and talking at the same time. YouTube. So I'll just be really slow about how I say it. I'll be very Southern. YouTube.com/Dr. Barnsley NC. There was my Southern accent for y'all.
Nice.
Subscribe and share it out, and let's spread the word so that we can serve you at an even more badassing way.
Love it.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Clifford.
Have a great day, everyone.